This is the Weekly News. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Thomas Thomas, in New York, New York. We've got breaking news as we come on the air this week. There are reports of flying car sightings on the Autobahn in Germany. Our reporter Tom G. from Fun with Vocabulary has the scoop. Hey Tom G., what's happening? Hi Thomas Thomas. Before I explain what happened here, let's preview this week's fun word. The word is coulrophobia. Because coulrophobia originates from Greek words, I was on my way from Paris to Athens. You know, I developed a severe case of aerophobia after that crazy flight from London to Paris last week. So I rented a Mercedes to make the drive down to Athens. Somewhere in Bavaria, I noticed a button on the steering wheel that said, "Do not press this button." So what did I do? I pressed the button, of course. The car literally jumped off the road and went flying before landing back down on the road. That was so much fun, I kept doing it over and over, trying to leapfrog all the traffic in front of me. Do you remember the old Speed Racer cartoon show? That's who I felt like. Here's a clip of how Speed Racer made his Mach 5 race car jump.
These are the controls of the most powerful and amazing racing car in the world, the Mach 5. Control A releases powerful jacks to boost the car.
So, the end of this story is that on my final jump, I crashed the car and hit my head really hard on the window. I thought I might have a concussion. I had trouble walking away from the car, and some bystanders had to hold me up. There was this neurologist on the scene who checked me out. He said he's on a leave of absence from the Miami Dolphins. He said not to worry about a concussion and that my trouble walking was most likely from a back injury? After that, I just stayed here near this beautiful castle to finish this week's word. Okay, Thomas Thomas, what do you think coulrophobia means? Well, I'm glad to hear you're okay, Tom G. Please do things twice like I do and get a second opinion on your head. Okay, coulrophobia. We know that a phobia is an acute fear of something, like arachnophobia and claustrophobia. There's also xenophobia, which is a fear of foreigners. That one seems to affect politicians here about every 2 years. So, for coulrophobia, I'm going to guess that people who live near Death Valley National Park, the hottest place on Earth, have an intense fear of cool weather. Am I right? Am I right? That is incorrect, Thomas Thomas. Let me tell you what my guess was. You know, a lot of people find it hard to cut loose and have a good time. Well, I'm guessing those people have coulrophobia, which is a fear of music from Kool and the Gang. Let's play a clip of one of their biggest hits to see if you have coulrophobia. If you can't even smile or nod your head a little bit, you might just have coulrophobia. What do you think, Thomas Thomas? Boy, oh boy, I might just have coulrophobia. All right, Tom G., let's hear your full report on the real meaning. Sure, Thomas. Coulrophobia is a noun. It means the abnormal fear of clowns. Coulrophobia is typically used by psychologists and in behavioral studies. As we know, the phobia part comes from a Greek word meaning fear. The coulro part comes from the Greek word colon, meaning limb. This could be in reference to stilts, which many clowns walk on in circus acts. That sounds like quite a reach to me. There's also a theory saying the word dates from the 1990s, possibly invented on the internet by pseudo-intellectuals, and then taken up by other smarty-pants people. Here's an example of an actual clown using the word in a tweet a couple of years ago. Orange You Glad said, "I'm glad people like me and my clowns enough that they think it'd be fun if I went places in character, but I simply can't do that. I wish I could, but I can't take the risk of being asked to leave, escorted away, or worse, cause an incident due to coulrophobia." So, he's actually afraid of triggering someone's coulrophobia. You might wonder how someone gets coulrophobia. Let me give you an example from back in my early reporting days in Chicago. One of the most famous clowns in the country was Bozo the Clown. He had his own TV show on the WGN Superstation. One day he was taping his show when another famous clown was recording a commercial in the studio down the hall. That clown was Ronald McDonald. These two clowns just hated each other. They crossed paths in the hallway that day and got into a huge scuffle. There was orange and red hair flying around all over the place. My cameraman, Jay, was there and stepped in to break up the fight. He said it was one of the most traumatic incidents he's ever experienced. Now, anytime he sees a clown, his PTSD returns. If he gets evaluated now, I'm sure he'd be diagnosed with coulrophobia. That's what I have for this week, Thomas. Back to you. Thank you, Tom G. Now I'm glad I can say I don't have coulrophobia. Take care, and we'll see you next week. After the break, we have a story from San Francisco. We'll meet the owner of a new restaurant for dogs only, where the special is filet mignon. Only in California, I guess.